Hey guys, Mark from Periphery here, and today I'm going to break down several riffs from the song Prayer Position off of Periphery 3. So a couple months ago, I asked you guys online what would be some of the things you wanted to learn most out of these columns. So over the next 6 months, I'm going to teach you guys some of the top candidates for what you guys commented back with. This song is in a drop A tuning, which consists of the first 5 strings being an entire step down and the 6th string being a full step and a half down from our normal C. So what you get is an octave relationship between a normal power chord shape on the lower 2 strings. This also happens to be one of the few Periphery songs in a triplet feel, which allows for a little bit more rhythmic ambiguity. So one of the intentions behind Prayer Position was to write a song that never deviated from a triplet feel, to have it throughout. For a couple of reasons. The main reason being that we wanted to explore a little bit more rhythmic unexpectedness in some of the riffs and just have it present itself in a way that we never had before, being a new feel for us. So this riff employs many of the techniques that we love to use in Periphery. Lots of pull-offs, lots of open strings, hammer-ons, and just a high degree of mobility around a section of the fretboard. The first shape is a power chord, but again, not played as a typical power chord, not played like this, but played like this. It's the same exact shape, you're just picking through it a little bit differently. I should also mention that one of the perks of this tuning is that you can use power chord shapes and have them be octaves, a little bit more of a bigger open sound that you can achieve with this tuning. So after that, after those 2 chords, then you sort of get into a theme which pops up several times in the song, and that is this fill. And you'll see that those last couple notes reference the beginning of the riff. But this little flurry of notes here is something that is present in several sections in the song. And again, making use of open strings, I'll play it a little bit slower. And then the fill to end the section is really kind of just there to make it seem less straightforward and a little bit more awkward, since that's something we love to do, as you probably know. And that little bit goes. Again, making use of open strings and unison notes there. The second half of the riff begins the exact same, and again, when it comes time to play that fill, the hammer-on pull-off slidey fill, it's a little bit different, and I'll show you how that goes. And here's how the fill goes the second time around. I'll play through that fill a little bit slower. And that fill deviates in the latter half But again, it references those first notes of the riff. That's sort of implying a chord change right there. And the last several chords go. I also want to say that this chord shape is one of my favorite things to do in this tuning, because you're getting the octave and then a fifth on top of that higher note. Huge open sounding. And then it ends with this. Again, another chord change. And the last fill, to cap it off, and again, that's also a theme that presents itself later in the song. So one of the more challenging bits of this riff is the fact that you're pretty much alt-picking for most of the riff, except for when you get to the fill that pops up twice. This fill. And if you'll notice, there's consecutive instances of upstrokes, and that's done to keep the strings ringing out that sort of need to ring out while the other notes are being played. And it can be a little bit awkward to switch back and forth from consecutive alt picking to then consecutive upstrokes and then back. But again, it's most important to practice it slow before you attempt to get it fast. The following riff in the song is an important one, because we kind of racked our brains when we were arranging and writing the song to figure out a riff that would follow that one, being kind of ambiguous rhythmically and very, very busy. We wanted to have something a little bit more simple and basic and a little bit more caveman, for lack of a better word, and sort of something bouncy enough to emphasize the triplet feel underneath it, because if you didn't have a drum beat under that main riff, you could interpret it a multitude of different ways. But we wanted something to sort of enforce that driving triplet feel. And I'll break down the verse riff for you, the first verse riff, I should say. Okay, so this riff focuses more on the triplet feel. Like I said earlier, it's meant to sort of establish that there is an obvious triplet feel happening. One of the most important parts of playing this riff is the silence, which is a big emphasis in a lot of our more percussive syncopated riffs. Is if you have a gain-heavy tone, make sure that you're gated in a way on your amp, either on your amp or more importantly using your hands, muting other strings to make sure that the bits of silence in the riff are popping out and are not making the silences less impactful. Because really, in a riff like this, where it's a bunch of low notes crammed against each other, you want the silences to really stick out and make the heavier parts even heavier. So the riff begins like this. Again, those are more of those octave power chords that are fun to play on this tuning. And then the next section goes. And then the following section goes. And again, you're using more open strings to get some of that dissonance and then unison to resolve at the end. Again, you're not picking this note. You're sort of just you're hitting it at the last tail end of this note. Sort of letting it ring out to sort of get this droney kind of feeling. Same idea there, using that D string to get that the dissonance and then the droniness. And then the last bit of the riff is a fill, pretty much. And it leads right back into the first note of the following repeat.